It's a pleasure to join you today, and I congratulate you on your studies. I've been asked to talk about the history of the Request for Comment series. My name is Steve Crocker. I was once upon a time a graduate student at the University of California, Los Angeles, which by accidents of time and place was where the first node of the ARPANET was put in, and the ARPANET was the beginnings of today's internet. It was a project sponsored by the US Defense Department but on the research side, not so much as a hardcore military project, but more to develop the basic technology of connecting many different kinds of computers together efficiently and effectively. In the process of designing that system, the office that was in charge of this, an office within the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, made a very interesting and what turned out to be a very smart decision. They put a lot of work into how to design the wires, if you will, the lines that would carry the bits connecting the different sites. But they decided not to try to design exactly what the applications would be, not how we would use the network. And instead, they left it to the prospective users of the network to try to figure that out. Now, in terms of prospective users, they chose research sites that they were already sponsoring research at, and UCLA was one of those. So it worked out that representatives from the initial 4 sites met together to try to figure out what are we going to do with this gift that is being bestowed on us, or if you like, being imposed on us. We understood in broad outline that there were going to be wires that would connect the different sites together, and that packet switching was the technology that would be used. But there was otherwise a complete blank slate. No structure, no instructions, sort of figure out what to do. And at each of these places, including at UCLA, there was active research in different elements of computer science. And we all thought that we were pretty bright kids, and we had some idea of what might be useful things to do. We obviously wanted to be able to move a file from one place to another. We wanted to be able to log into each other's computers as if we had dialed up. But we also were extremely conscious, and this is a very big point, we were extremely conscious of how many things we did not know, how many more things there were to be done than we would be able to imagine. And so this led to an attitude about how to design the system that involved a key word here that I want to stress: openness. We designed the architecture so that it would be something that whatever we designed, other people could build on. We did not envision that we were doing a complete job. A closely related element of this was how we would go about the process of designing the parts that we were going to design. And we wanted to make sure that that process would involve anybody who wanted to be involved, and that the fruits of that, the documents that we would write, would be available to anybody at all. So a small group of us from the first 4 sites met intermittently over a several-month period. And when we began to write down what it was that we were thinking about, we had in mind that these documents should not be the final thing. They should only be the beginning of a conversation, and that they should be available to anybody, and that there should be no real formality to these things. We each assigned ourselves a task. There was several of us in the group. We each assigned ourselves the task of writing up one of the ideas that we've been discussing. And I took on what I thought at the time was a very minor administrative task of organizing those notes. That small detail turned out to be, in retrospect, as important or even more important than all of the rest. In order to emphasize that these notes were not authoritative, that these notes were not to close off a conversation, that they did not have any finality to them, I hit upon this small, sort of almost a joke idea of saying every one of them, no matter what it said, would be called a request for comments. with the idea that that would invite others to respond in kind. I thought this was a temporary thing. We're talking about early 1969. That is a full 46 years ago. And in the process, I figured that process would run for a few months until we had the design finished and we all could go about other business. Somewhat to my surprise, that process did not come to an end. The request for comment series has continued for a very long time. It has evolved as these things do, but it has also remained a very important part of the design process. And coming back to the notion of openness, it has resulted in three very important elements of openness, which brings us even to where we are today in this conversation. It is the openness of the architecture so that new ideas can be added to the network by anybody, anywhere. It's brought us to openness in the availability of information. The RFCs are available free of charge around the world, anybody, anytime, anywhere. And it has brought us to openness in the participation process. The small group that we started in 1968 and 1969 evolved over the years and today is embodied in today's Internet Engineering Task Force with thousands of people participating from all over the world. And the cost of participation is zero. The barrier to entry is zero. Anybody is allowed to participate in any working group. There is no organizational requirement. There is no nationality requirement. No governments are in charge. And out of that process, we continue to have an extremely active and vibrant process of generating new ideas. So the openness is, as I emphasized, threefold. It's openness in participation, openness in the availability of the communications, and of course, openness in the architecture that permits new things to be added. So with all of that, it means that groups such as yours and all over the world are able to form, take an active part, learn the technology, contribute to the technology, and expand the internet and make it available to ever more people for ever more purposes, and bring all of humanity together. I congratulate you on your course, and I wish you the best of luck, and I look forward to interacting with you.